All right, welcome to the Explainer. We hear it all the time. AI is changing everything. But what does that actually mean for the economy, for our jobs? Today, we're going to cut through the noise and look at the hard data. What's the real economic impact of AI on productivity and growth? And this quote from NVIDIA really just hits the nail on the head, right? AI isn't this futuristic thing anymore. It's becoming the fundamental plumbing of our economy. Think of it like electricity or the internet, it's that foundational.
And look, this is not just hype. That same report found that 64% of companies worldwide are already using AI. I mean, think about that. That's nearly 2 out of every 3 businesses. The speed of this adoption is, well, it's something we've never really seen before. Okay, so if basically everyone is using it, the multi-trillion-dollar question is, how does this actually translate into real economic growth? Let's dig in and see how companies are actually using this stuff. So the first big thing to understand is that AI has officially left the science lab. It's not just some pilot program or a cool experiment anymore. We're talking about full-scale deployment in the heart of business operations, solving real day-to-day problems.
All right, so from an analyst's point of view, what's the big deal? It's all about productivity. You have to think of AI as this incredible new engine for the economy. It's not just another app. It's more like a mini industrial revolution, totally changing the way we work. And how does it do that? Well, it all starts at the very smallest level, the individual tasks that make up every single job. So the really critical question becomes, whose tasks are we talking about here?
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting. Take a look at this data from the Penn-Wharton budget model. It shows this huge divide in how different jobs are getting hit. Up top, you've got office and admin support. Over 75% of their tasks could be automated. But then look way down at the bottom. Building and grounds cleaning, less than 3%. The message here is crystal clear. This is a white-collar, information-based revolution.
So all that talk about robots taking every job? The data actually paints a much more nuanced picture. For the vast majority of people, AI is looking more like a co-pilot than a replacement. I mean, check this out. For over 40% of workers, AI can handle a pretty big chunk of their tasks. But that doesn't mean the job goes away. It means they get to offload the grunt work and focus on the stuff that requires a human brain. The creative, strategic, complex thinking. And what this creates is something economists call a U-shaped impact. It's pretty interesting. It's not the lowest paid manual jobs or the highest paid C-suite executives that are most exposed. Nope. It's those highly skilled, high-earning professionals right in the middle. We're talking programmers, financial analysts, writers, the folks whose jobs are all about manipulating information. Those are the tasks that are just perfect for AI to help with. And look, we're not just talking theory here. This isn't some academic exercise. We have actual, real-world numbers that show just how big these productivity jumps can be. I mean, just look at these studies. In customer service, we're seeing a 14% jump in how many issues agents can resolve. For professional writers, a 40% increase in speed. And for software developers using AI assistants, a massive 56% faster. Every single one of these percentages is real economic value being created, one task at a time. But, and this is a huge but, all this power comes with a catch. AI isn't perfect. It hallucinates, it can be biased, it just doesn't have common sense. And that brings us to a really crucial idea for making this whole thing work in the real world. The concept is called human in the loop, or HITL. And the idea is actually pretty simple, but it's absolutely essential. You take the raw speed and power of the AI, and you pair it with the judgment, the ethics, and the real-world know-how that, for now, only a human has. So the AI does the grunt work, but a person is always there to guide it, to check it, to provide that critical final say. Now, this isn't a silver bullet, of course. There are trade-offs. The upside? You get way better accuracy, you can catch and correct for bias, and you have that essential ethical oversight. The downside? Well, it's expensive, it's harder to scale up, and you're still dealing with people, which means you still have the potential for human error. So the big takeaway here is that you can't just set it and forget it with AI. It's not a magic box. You absolutely have to have the right people with the right training to oversee these systems. And this leads us straight to the single biggest roadblock that companies are facing right now. Check this out. A recent Deloitte survey found the #1 barrier to adopting AI. It's not the tech, it's not the cost. It's a lack of people with the right skills. A skills gap. And while over half of companies are training their workforce, far fewer are actually rethinking what jobs should even look like in this new AI-powered world. Okay, so let's recap. We've got massive adoption, huge productivity gains at the task level, but also this big looming skills gap. So, what happens when you stir all that together? Let's zoom out from the individual company and look at the forecast for the whole economy.
All right, so these models from that same Penn Wharton Group project that AI's impact on productivity growth is going to start slow, but then it's going to accelerate and fast. The forecast shows it peaking around 2032, where it'll add about zero point 0.2 percentage points to annual growth. After that, it settles down, but, and this is key, it settles into a new, permanently higher baseline.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Zero point 0.2 percentage points? That doesn't sound like a lot. But here's the magic of compound growth. Because that boost happens year after year after year, the long-term effect is absolutely massive. By 2035, the entire economy is projected to be 1.5% bigger than it would have been without AI. And it just keeps going. Fast forward a couple more decades to 2055, and that number doubles. We're talking a full 3% bump to the size of the entire economy.
And by the time we get to 2075, the forecast shows a permanent 3.7% increase. I mean, that is a colossal number. We are talking about trillions and trillions of dollars in new economic value, all stemming from this fundamental productivity boost.
Let me be really clear about this. This isn't some short-term sugar rush for the economy that just wears off. What the models are showing is a permanent structural upgrade to our entire economic engine. It's a fundamental shift.
So we've looked at all the numbers, all the forecasts. What's the big takeaway here? What's the one thing we really need to wrap our heads around? Well, the data seems pretty undeniable. AI is making the whole economic pie bigger, for good. And that leaves us with one last really important question. The tech is here. The economic upgrade is already in motion. The great unknown isn't the technology. It's us. Are we, our skills, our jobs, our companies, ready to keep up?